Yes, knowing and recognizing the playstyles and strategies of Age of Sigmar will empower you to have more fun games, write better army lists, and become an overall better player. Sometimes we look at the opponent's army and still can't figure out what its strategy is. But figuring out what happens while it happens can often lead to a feeling of disappointment.
I thought we'd fight until our intestines are splattered all over the place.
Nah, we are more like the hugging army. Also, I can't see blood.
Hugging army. I understand. What?
But most importantly, while buying, building, painting and writing army lists, we assume certain playstyles for our models. And this video will help you to understand the implications of those strategies way better, how to play with and against them, which leads to more fun and enjoyment of the hobby. Do you want more fun and enjoyment? Then stick around. First, Alpha Strike. An Alpha Strike army tries to destroy the opponent's army as fast as possible. This army needs high, and I mean really high damage, which can be applied in the very first turn of the game. 2 or 3 reinforced damage-dealing units, also known as hammers, often combined with other sources of damage in different phases, like the shooting phase. Alpha Strike armies needs to be very low on regiments, not more than 2, because their greatest weakness is taking damage. They need to attack first. Once an Alpha Strike army takes a punch, it crumbles. The whole point of their strategy is to cripple the enemy forces before they can retaliate. Which means the best way to beat them is to either block their damage with screens and then strike back, or to attack them before they can attack you. Therefore, if you get to choose who takes the first turn in the first battle round, consider this. Can you attack the Alpha Strike army before they attack you? If so, take the first turn and strike them down quickly. Alpha Block. An Alpha Block army centers its strategy around the scoring system of the game, or rather around blocking the opponent out of it. This playstyle wants to hinder the opponent's army from moving freely by physically closing the path, which is achieved by running, teleporting and/or charging over the battlefield in the first turn, with either durable units or the sheer mass of bodies. Alpha Block armies need to be very low on regiments, 1 or 2, which allows them to take the first turn in battle round 1. The main goal of this strategy is to create a big enough lead in points during the first turns, so the opponent's army cannot catch up even after fighting its way out.
Damn it!
This playstyle is especially annoying if not handled correctly, but extremely fun if both players are aware of it. And here's why. If the player who actually plays the Alpha Block army isn't aware of it, he normally loses very badly and quick. On the other hand, if the player is aware of what he is playing, but the opponent is not aware of what he is playing against, the game really drifts sideways very fast, because the player who isn't aware what he is up to will lose almost certainly. In both cases, the losing player will not have any fun, which is a bad thing, because he is also playing to have fun. And the main goal of the game is for both players to have fun. Therefore, we should learn how to spot such an Alpha Block list. Fortunately, they have a pretty distinct look. The army is comprised of mass and a way to deliver it. Meanwhile, the damage is low. Does the army lack any damage-dealing units? Yes. Does it have an excessive amount of health? Consider ward saves. Yes. And most obviously, are units repetitive? Yes. Some units embody the Alpha Block strategy perfectly. Now its weakness: condensed damage. Whenever you know your opponent tries to Alpha Block you, condense your army to a round pineapple shape. Put your fast, cheap units for battle tactics and objective snatching a little behind. But do not backboard your main pieces in order to protect them from being attacked. Remember, an Alpha Block army's damage is low. Instead, place your units in a way no single unit can be attacked without pulling others into combat. This way, the Alpha Blocker is forced to either chew on more than the army can handle, or to not Alpha Block at all, which is nearly impossible considering the army is very committed to the strategy. Try to move your main pieces as a single entity, while scoring as much as possible with the smaller units. This way, our entire army deals enough damage to not be stuck at one place. The goal is to never be stuck in one place. Use all your command points very aggressively. All-out attack, counter charge, and even redeploy into more aggressive positions. Though such an army seems to be boring to play with and against, the game of constantly pushing and pulling is suddenly very fun. Grind. A grind army does not try to focus the game into the first few turns. Instead, it tries to play the long game. Unlike the previous playstyles, this army nature opens up the space for more and different regiment options. Grind armies have always a strong recursion mechanic or insanely durable units, sometimes both. But unlike the Alpha Brothers, they do not want to bring the speed, or at least not across the whole army. There might be a unit dedicated to jump and hunt around the board. Since the two playstyles appear very similar, we should talk about the main differences between a grind army and Alpha Block army. Grind armies are more efficient in damage and durability, and their weakness is often baked into their ability to be efficient. Nearly all grind armies have a certain strategy of how they grind you down while scoring. Mostly some specific piece is very important, and they normally lack the points to have multiple scoring units.
Troll.
No fair.
Which means their weakness is speed. Try to destroy their cheap scoring units as fast as possible, but do not sacrifice your main hammers. Watch this video how to build the perfect army list in 5 minutes if you want to improve list writing. Once their small units are destroyed, they're forced to spread out a little more than they want to, which grants you the opportunity to break their ranks faster than they can recover them. Counter-strike. Nah, not that one. But actually, my favorite style of army. Counter-strike armies try to hit especially hard, but not to take the first turn. Therefore, it is usually on 2 regiments. This army is especially easy to spot. No durability, only hammers and screens, and mostly not really fast. Again, with one exception.
Frostlord on Stoneboard.
Each unit is either low points chaff or straight out of hell to end the world. A Counter-Strike army plays the classic bait and trap game. The cheap units do all the scoring, while the damaging units position themselves in a good spot. Once the opponent cleared the screen in their turn, they jump them with no mercy. Such a strategy needs some mechanic to deal a lot of damage, mostly by some activation trick, which means a way to attack with 2 units one after another before your opponent gets the chance to strike, or some reliable strike last or strike first abilities. The weakness of this army is speed and range damage. By clearing the screens with range damage, the damaging units lose all their protection. Or even worse, the damage dealers themselves are in a bad spot and get shot off the table. Another issue is the enemy speed itself. If the enemy can maneuver around your screens and catch the main pieces off guard, they go down fast. Castle army. Well, it's a castle.
What a bitch!
A castle army can also be described as Death Star. Yes, that thing. It tries to be impenetrable while projecting damage over distance. Normally lower on drops, 2 or 3, because it needs more control of the game flow. This army wears the Captain Obvious cape very proudly. A lot range damage, either shooting or spells, low mobility and some roadblocks, either tanky units or screens. The main aspect is the damage over distance one, but its greatest strength is its greatest weakness as well. Impenetrable castles move poorly. The best way to defeat a castle is to always score as much as possible to get ahead in points while maintaining the following principle. Either do not engage the castle and stay out of its range, or fully commit on the siege and go all in. There is no point of only committing enough units to breach the castle walls, but deal no significant damage to the soft inhabitants. After you destroyed his wardens and stone guards, at least punch Teclis in the balls. Slingshot. A lot of buff pieces trying to buff up a unit to the point where it can destroy units many times its point value. They try to trade up a cheaper buffed up unit for a more expensive enemy unit each turn, until the enemy has no significant pieces left. They normally play with higher drops, have a lot of buff pieces and quite a lot of hammers, which are either not reinforced or relatively cheap to begin with. This archetype struggles a little with the number of regiments it wants to play. Slingshot armies need buff pieces. Most buff pieces are heroes, like priests and wizards, and most priests and wizards are regiment leaders. But at the same time, Slingshot armies do not like to be double turned or alpha striked. because being caught off guard
Delicious.
without their buffs or immediately after they sling their buffed hammer away is their greatest weakness. They are easy to overrun. Fast and constant engagement breaks them. Also engaging them at multiple angles of the battlefield will be too much for them. Since they can't apply their buffs everywhere. Right. If you reach this point, please like and subscribe. It really helps. Watch this video. Sigmar out.